This penny almost ended up in a parking lot drained out. A single gust of wind could have blown it away forever, and no one would have known that it was worth over $1 million, but one sharp-eyed collector bent down, picked it up, and within months, he was holding a check for more than $1.3 million. It was a 2016 Lincoln penny, with a tiny D mint mark. At first glance, it looked like any other coin you might use to pay for gum or coffee, but hidden in its copper-red shine was a secret. So rare that even veteran coin dealers were stunned. You see, in 2016, the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies, billions, but buried deep in that sea of ordinary coins, a small handful came out, different, not intentionally different. This was a minting mistake. A freak accident. A clash between precision machines and a split-second flaw. But here's where it gets even stranger. Most of these flawed coins disappeared into circulation without anyone noticing. People spent them, dropped them, tossed them in jars, never realizing they were holding a fortune in copper, and for years, they sat in darkness, until one day, a collector spotted something unusual: the date, the mint mark. And most importantly, a subtle distortion in the lettering, the kind of detail that can only happen during a high-speed minting error. To the untrained eye, it was nothing. It was a jackpot, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. This penny, a coin that most people would ignore, shattered expectations at auction. Bidders from around the country fought over it. The final hammer dropped at a figure that left even seasoned dealers speechless: $1.3 million. For a penny. A coin you could easily find in your change right now. Collectors were shocked, dealers were rushing to check their own inventory, and suddenly, the humble 2016 D penny became one of the most talked about coins in modern US history. But here's the part that gives me chills: there could still be more out there. In pockets, in drawers, in old piggy banks, because when an error coin like this slips into circulation, it doesn't vanish overnight, it travels. It could be sitting just a few feet away from you right now. And here's the detail you need to know: this particular penny's value comes from a rare double die obverse, a doubling in the design that's visible under magnification. Look closely at the date 2016 and the word Liberty. If you see a ghostly second outline, a doubled image, you may be staring at $1 million treasure. But here's the trap most people fall into: not every shiny penny is valuable. Most are worth exactly 1 cent. That's why you must train your eyes, use a magnifying glass, and compare against verified images from reputable coin grading companies. So here's my final question for you: when that moment comes for you, when a humble penny in your hand hides a secret worth a fortune, will you spot it? Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was almost spent on a pack of gum. But instead, it became one of the most shocking $1 million discoveries in modern coin history. And the craziest part? It's a 2015 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark. The kind you've probably seen 100 times and never thought twice about. A man in Ohio had no idea he was holding a life-changing treasure. It was just pocket change from the grocery store. But under the dull copper surface hid a mistake so rare, so overlooked, that it would send shockwaves through the coin collecting world. He tossed it on his kitchen counter, planning to use it for coffee the next morning. But a late-night glance at the date caught his attention, and something didn't look right. At first, he thought it was just worn down. Then he noticed no mint mark. In 2015, pennies from Philadelphia didn't carry one, but this one had something else. A subtle, nearly invisible error caused during production that shouldn't have made it past the mint's strict inspection. It was a flaw so rare, experts had only seen a handful, and none in such pristine condition. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. After sending it to a grading service, the verdict came in: this was a 1 in a billion strike, an error no ordinary collector could predict. When it hit the auction block, dealers fought fiercely, each knowing this was the kind of piece that changes reputations and bank accounts forever. The final bid? Over $1.5 million. A penny, worth more than a luxury mansion. Collectors were shocked. Social media lit up. Forums exploded with theories. How could a modern penny, something billions of people use every day, reach such an insane value? The answer wasn't just in the missing mint mark. It was in the story it told: a perfect storm of minting history, human oversight, and pure luck. But here's where it gets even stranger. Some experts believe there are still more of these 2015 no mint mark error pennies hiding out there. If one slipped into circulation, who's to say there aren't others? And that's why dealers are combing through rolls of pennies right now, desperate to find the next jackpot. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. On the surface, it looks just like any other penny from 2015. But under close magnification, you'll see the difference in the strike. The lettering is slightly off, the rim isn't perfectly even, and there's a microscopic die flaw near the date that sets it apart from the ordinary. One collector swears he found one in a bank-wrapped roll, and within 48 hours, it was in the hands of a private buyer for a sum that could pay off most mortgages. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on these coins because they know the market is white hot. And in the world of rare coins, when demand outpaces supply, the prices can skyrocket overnight. Now imagine this: you empty your pockets at the end of the day. A handful of coins clinks onto the counter. You almost sweep them into a jar without looking. But then, you see a 2015 penny with no mint mark. You pick it up, study the details, and your heart starts to race. Could this be it? Could this be the same $1 million miracle? Most people would never notice the difference. They'd spend it, lose it, or let it gather dust in a drawer. But you? Now you know what to look for. You know that lightning can strike in the most unexpected places, sometimes in the palm of your hand. So here's your chance to turn curiosity into fortune. Check the date. Check for the missing mint mark. Study the edges, the lettering, and the surface under a good light. Because one day, you might find yourself staring at a coin worth more than your house, and you'll know exactly what you've discovered. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. The audience is US-based coin collectors aged 30 to 70 who dream of discovering a life-changing coin hiding in their pocket change. The tone must be suspenseful, dramatic, and inspirational. Every line should feel like a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. Secret is being revealed. It must sound like a natural, human voiceover. Gripping, vivid, and unpredictable storytelling rules. Open with a shocking hook that creates instant curiosity. Example: this coin almost ended up in the trash, but sold for nearly $1 million. Then unfold the mysterious backstory of the coin: hidden minting mistakes, forgotten origins, shocking auction stories, or one collector's unbelievable discovery. To every 1 to 2 minutes, drop a strong attention reset or cliffhanger line like, "But what happened next?" Stun the entire coin world. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. Infuse every paragraph with emotional language. Collectors were shocked, dealers are rushing to get their hands on this coin. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle. End by clearly teaching how to identify this exact coin, what to look for, common mistakes to avoid. The final sentence must hit hard with emotional power and value. This exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. Mandatory rules and no headings like Act 1 or Conclusion, no formatting symbols or bullet points, and no fluff or filler. Every line must drive curiosity, emotion, and watch time. Must use the phrase $1 million at least twice. Naturally, must be completely unique each time the prompt is reused with a different coin. The script should be 10 minutes long. ChatGPT said it sat unnoticed for decades, tossed from hand to hand, passed in change at a grocery store, maybe even dropped between couch cushions. No one knew it was hiding a secret that could change a life. A 1971 Lincoln penny, with an S mint mark, worth up to $1.7 million, this coin's story doesn't begin in a velvet-lined display case. It begins in the chaos of the U.S. Mint in San Francisco, where thousands of coins clinked and clattered along steel conveyor belts. But among those thousands, a handful carried a flaw, a subtle, almost invisible difference that would turn them into legends. Most people never notice it. Even experienced collectors have let it slip through their fingers. One man did. In 2010, a collector bought a small box of old pennies at a yard sale for just a few dollars. Inside, beneath layers of dust, he spotted something unusual. The S mint mark was crisp, yet the details on Lincoln's profile looked sharper than any ordinary cent. His heart pounded. He took it to an appraiser, who adjusted their glasses, leaned in, and whispered, "Do you know what you have here?" That moment changed everything, but what happened next stunned the entire coin world. That single penny, once destined for everyday transactions, crossed an auction block under glaring lights. Bids flew in from across the country. Dealers whispered in the back of the room. And when the final gavel fell, the price hit numbers no one believed possible: hundreds of thousands. Later, another example shattered records, reaching over $1.7 million. So why is it worth so much? This is where the magic and the mystery lies. Some of these 1971 S pennies were struck with what's called a proof finish, a mirror-like shine, razor-sharp details. They weren't meant for circulation. But a few slipped out, possibly through mint error or mishandling. Those proof strikes, combined with an extremely rare double die error on the obverse, where Lincoln's date and lettering appear slightly doubled, make it one of the most sought-after modern cents in existence. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. To the untrained eye, the coin looks like any other from 1971. But tilt it under the light, and you might notice the doubling on the date. Check the S mint mark, it should be sharp, perfectly formed, and aligned. And if the surface gleams like a mirror, you might just be holding a proof strike that shouldn't exist. And the wild collectors were shocked when they realized how many of these could still be out there. Not hundreds, but maybe only a few dozen, hidden away in jars, drawers, and forgotten coin albums. Dealers are rushing to get their hands on them, knowing each discovery could be a once-in-a-lifetime payday. One man's pocket change became $1 million miracle, and yours could too. Imagine the feeling walking into a coin shop, your hands trembling, the dealer's eyes widening as they see what you've brought. That's not just a payday. That's history in your palm, but here's the catch: most people will never find it, because they don't know what to look for. They don't check the date under magnification. They don't examine the mint mark. They don't realize that a penny from 1971 with an S could be anything more than face value. And so, the treasure slips away, again and again. Now you know better. Search your change. Dig through that coffee can of coins in the garage. Take a second look at every penny you find from 1971. Tilt it in the light. Study the date. Look at the mint mark. And if it has that perfect proof finish, if it shows even a whisper of doubling, you may have found one of the rarest and most valuable modern US coins ever struck, because the truth is, this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million. This penny was almost thrown away, but today, it's valued at up to $1.8 million. Imagine that. A single cent, the kind you've probably dropped under your couch or left rattling in a coffee can, worth enough to change your life forever. And the strangest part? Most people wouldn't even give it a second glance. The year was 1995. Across the United States, billions of pennies rolled off the presses. People were using them for vending machines, bus fare, or just letting them pile up in kitchen drawers. But hidden among the ordinary copper coins, a small number carried a secret so rare, so unexpected, that it would take decades for the world to truly understand just how valuable they were. It started with a mistake. Not a dramatic, obvious mistake, but the kind that's nearly invisible until you know exactly where to look. Collectors call it a double die obverse, and in 1995, one batch of no mint mark Lincoln pennies left the Philadelphia Mint with this tiny, unplanned imperfection. You wouldn't see it unless you held the coin up to the light, tilting it slowly, letting your eyes focus on the delicate, doubled lettering of Liberty or the date. That doubling wasn't supposed to happen, but it did, and it turned an everyday penny into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. One man in Pennsylvania almost missed it. He'd been emptying his pockets one night, tossing loose change into a jar. But something made him pause. The lettering looked different. His hands shook as he pulled out a magnifying glass, and there it was, the telltale doubling that would send shockwaves through the coin collecting world. What he held wasn't just spare change. At auction, it would later sell for over $1 million, but here's the twist: not every 1995 penny without a mint mark is worth that fortune. Most are worth exactly 1 cent. The difference lies in the precision of the error, the condition of the coin, and whether it has remained untouched by time. And that's where so many people go wrong. They spot a 1995 penny, get excited, and rush to sell it, only to discover it's an ordinary one. This is why seasoned collectors always say, slow down, examine every detail, and never assume you know what you're holding. In the case of this $1 million 1995 penny, the devil is in the details. Look closely at the word Liberty and the date. On genuine doubled die examples, you'll see clear, thick doubling in the letters, not a blur, not a shadow, but a crisp, unmistakable split, and the higher the grade, the higher the price. The $1.8 million sale? That coin was nearly flawless, no scratches, no discoloration, no signs of circulation. It looked like it had been pulled from the mint and preserved in a time capsule. Coins like that are what dealers dream of finding. Collectors were shocked when the news broke. Dealers scrambled to check their own 1995 stock. Suddenly, people across the country were digging through piggy banks and coin jars, hoping to catch lightning in a bottle. It was like a gold rush, except the gold was a single copper penny, and here's the part that stuns people even more: this coin is still out there. Not in museums. Not locked away in private collections forever. Some are still floating in circulation, hiding in the change you get at a gas station or in the tip jar at your local diner. It sounds impossible, but it's true. So if you ever find a 1995 Lincoln penny without a mint mark, don't dismiss it. Hold it up to the light. Use a magnifier. Check the doubling on the obverse. Compare it to verified photos from trusted coin guides. And whatever you do, don't clean it. Cleaning can cut its value in half in seconds, because here's the reality: somewhere, right now, someone has this exact penny sitting in a dusty drawer, completely unaware that it could be worth over $1 million. The only question is, will it be you who finds it first? If you're serious about coins, subscribe now, because treasures like this don't wait forever, and neither should you. The next $1 million penny could be in your hands before you even know it. If you want, I can expand this into a full word-for-word 10-minute voiceover so it perfectly matches pacing and suspense for your audience. That way, you'll have a dramatic flow with cliffhangers every 1 to 2 minutes. Do you want me to do that? Looked like any ordinary penny. Worn. Faded. Barely worth the effort to bend down and pick it up. But what this small, copper coin carried was a secret that would send shockwaves through the coin collecting world. This was no ordinary penny. It was a 1971 Lincoln cent with no mint mark, and it would eventually be valued at over $1.3 million. The man who found it wasn't looking for treasure. He was sorting through a jar of change on a quiet Sunday afternoon. Pennies, nickels, dimes, clinking into piles. And then, something caught his eye. Not because it was shiny. Not because it looked rare. But because something was missing. No small letter under the date. No tiny mark telling where it was made. Just the numbers, 1971. At first, he thought nothing of it. After all, plenty of coins have no mint mark. But then came the detail that changed everything. This particular 1971 penny was struck with an error so rare, so unique, that only a handful have ever surfaced. And in the right condition, they don't just sell, they ignite bidding wars. Collectors were stunned when the first of these coins hit the auction block. It was in near-perfect condition, its details crisp, the strike flawless. By the time the hammer fell, the price had soared past expectations. One collector walked away with history in his pocket, and the seller walked away nearly a millionaire. But what happened next stunned the entire coin world. News of the sale spread like wildfire. Dealers were suddenly scouring their inventories. Everyday people were checking their spare change with magnifying glasses. Pawn shops saw a surge in customers asking the same question: do you have any 1971 pennies without a mint mark? The mystery deepened when experts began tracing the origin of these rare coins. They discovered that some were struck at the Philadelphia Mint in error, using an extraordinary die that left the design sharper, the details bolder. But in a twist that only fueled the legend, a tiny number of them were minted on planchets intended for proof coins, the kind made for collectors, not circulation. And those are the ones worth a fortune. One man in Ohio found his in a coffee can in his garage. He'd inherited the can from his father, who had tossed spare change into it for decades. Inside were hundreds of coins, but that one 1971 no mint mark penny, it paid off his mortgage. Another lucky finder, a woman in California, pulled one from her purse when paying for gas. She kept it just in case. 6 months later, it sold for hundreds of thousands of dollars. This tiny detail is why it's worth millions, and most people miss it. You have to look closely. The date should be 1971. There should be no mint mark under the date, no small d for Denver, no s for San Francisco, nothing. But that's just the beginning. The coin must be in pristine, uncirculated condition to reach the $1 million range. Even light scratches or wear can slash its value dramatically. Collectors describe the thrill of finding one as pure electricity. Your heart pounds. Your hands shake. You start imagining what it could mean: paying off debts, buying that dream house, securing your family's future. All from a penny you almost spent without a second thought. And here's where it gets even more unbelievable. Experts estimate that there could still be undiscovered examples out there, sitting quietly in jars, drawers, and piggy banks. Forgotten for decades. Waiting for the right pair of eyes to recognize their true worth, but here's the danger most people don't know: there are counterfeits. Scammers have altered ordinary pennies to remove mint marks, hoping to fool eager collectors. The difference can be subtle, sometimes almost invisible to the untrained eye. That's why you need to check weight, look for proof-like surfaces, and if in doubt, get it authenticated by a reputable grading service. The stakes are high. Imagine throwing away $1.3 million because you didn't know what you were holding. Imagine handing it over in change for a cup of coffee, never realizing it could have changed your life forever. This is the kind of coin that turns ordinary people into legends in the collecting world. And every day, more stories surface. A coin that almost ended up in the trash. A penny pulled from a child's piggy bank. A life transformed overnight. So the next time you empty your pockets, slow down. Look at the date. Look under it. If you see 1971 and nothing else, you might be staring at a miracle. Because this exact penny could be sitting in your drawer right now, and it's worth over $1 million.